Howdy y'all, welcome to the Dusty Old Deck Trail. That's a little video series I'm hoping to start up where we just take a deck, we break it down, and we talk about it. We talk about why I built it, what it's for, modern, standard, commander, arch enemy, what kind of gameplay or whatever. And we talk about all the cards that I've added or tried or which ones we should try. So any kind of information we got. So let's get started. So I decided to start with this deck because, well, my other deck is unfinished, the one I've been playing with. So this deck, it's brand new. It's widely untested, and so today's Friday, and hopefully I have this video out in a couple of days or whatever, but we'll play with it tomorrow. I usually play on Saturday nights. We'll play in a standard tournament with it. So it is a standard deck, and it's made basically from brand new cards. So here's the standard rotation. So it doesn't have any cards from the technically older standard rotation, because I wanted this deck to last for a long time, so it's really cheap, and it's brand new, and we'll have it for quite a while. So it's a black and white vampire tribal. So let's take a look. So this is kind of the core card of it. It's from Foundations. Whenever this creature or another vampire you control dies, you may pay black, and they have them lose 2 life. So this deck, it does a lot of damage dealing by losing life, gaining life. So we have 4 copies of this card, and we have 4 Vengeful Bloodwitches, which is whenever another creature dies, lose 1 to gain 1. So another ping. So then we have Nullpriest. That's a 2/1 menace lifelink, but what we want is the kicker. So basically you can pay 6 mana. Whatever this creature enters, if it was kicked, return target creature from Aguirre to the battlefield. So it's good at returning creatures, even though it's a bit pricey for a 6 mana. So we then have the 5-drop vampire. Whenever he attacks, you may sacrifice another creature to put a counter on it, but what we want is the card draw. So whenever another non-token creature dies, then you can draw a card. So it's also on a 5/3 flying body, which is pretty nice. We only have 3 of these because they're kind of big creatures at 5 mana. So we have these 2 legendaries. It's the same thing. 2/2 ward, pay 3. So basically we just want the explore ability, which will give us some lands, basically some more card draw. And we have 4 pulse trackers, which they just are 1-drops that deal 1 damage, but they're also good for cycling. So that's our creature list. Let's take a look at our spells. So this deck, I'm trying to bring back a lot of creatures. So we have like Not Deads. Alright, so we have Raise the Past, which is return all creature cards from mana with 2 or less. So basically that'll return everything from our creatures except for our big high society hunter, because it's a 5-drop. But everything else in here is 1 to 2 mana. So we only have 2 of these in here because we only need 1 during the game. So we have 3 of these lunars, which at the beginning of your end stuff, you gain life, each opponent loses a life. So basically if we gain any life, which we have quite a few things that can do that. And then, but if you also gained and lost life, then you get a bat. So then we really need the ability to pay 2 life and draw a card. So that's super helpful. So we have 3 copies of Fells in here, which is just creature removal, destroy target creature. So we have 4 Not Deads. So then turn target creature gain control. When it dies, return to the battlefield, tap turns under control, and Wicked Roll. So basically, if we use the high priest or the high society hunter, you can sacrifice creatures, so that actually would trigger with this ability. So if he dies, then you can return it. So we can do things like, so we can combo a few cards into that. But also if if someone wishes to use a Fell on our creature, then we can bring it back. So it's just good for a whole bunch of stuff. So then we have 4 copies of Shelter by Ghost, because oh my gosh, this card is absolutely ridiculous. So it's removal, it's lifelink, it's ward 2, it's plus damage. It's an absolutely insane card for only 2 mana. So we definitely have 4 copies of Shelter by Ghost in there. So our lands are simple. We got 4 Restless Fortresses. So you can pay 4, it becomes a 1/4, but it's also whenever it attacks, so they lose 2 life and you gain 2 life. So it works perfect in here. So we have 4 copies of it. So most of this deck is actually black. So we have 6 plains, and then we have twice as many swamps at 12 swamps. So the mana and stuff, I have played this deck technically a couple of times, and we haven't had any problems with mana. So the mana is pretty simple. So let's take a look at our sideboard real quick too. I've got a small one. So Gatekeeper, he's a very good card. We're sideboarding him because if it's not a creature heavy deck, then he's pretty much useless. But you can pay 3 mana, so he's a kicker. Whenever he enters, if he's kicked, destroy a creature, or a target player, your opponent will sacrifice a creature they control. So he's a great sideboard card. So then we have straight up removal, Requisition Raid, destroy artifact, enchantment, or you can put counters for only a couple of mana. So then we also have a Raise the Past and another Fell in our sideboard. So we have we got what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we actually don't have a full sideboard for this deck. If you all have any great suggestions for anything I could add to the sideboard that I might be missing. So we've got great card draw, great removal, but I'm not sure what else we could add. But yeah, any suggestions y'all got, that'd be great. So here's a full view of all the cards in the deck again, except for the lands, which we just have 4 Restless Fortresses, and the rest of them are basic lands. So I guess we'll run through it again just real quick. So we have removal and lifelink, and then we have a way to bring creatures back, creature removal, basically extra creatures, extra bats, plus card draw. And then we have a big way to bring all the creatures back. So then we have damage, and we have explore, so basically more card draw, and then we have a way to bring creatures back again. Then we have damage, and then we have damage. But these also both gain life. So pretty much everything that we do in here is if you're going to deal damage, then you're going to gain the life back as well. So this deck, it is pretty fast, and it seems to work pretty good. I had to have tested it a couple of times technically, and I actually won both games. So I played against a standard toxic deck, which reduces your life total to 10, which is actually a pretty hard counter to a deck like this for its life gain. And it did pretty well, so this deck was definitely fast enough to deal with it. So this is the price breakdown, which as you can see, most of these cards are actually very affordable. Now, I do have a lot of like borderless and foils, but that I didn't actually include those different variations into the actual price of the deck. So if you're going to build this deck, this is what you need, and this is what it's going to cost. So when I built this deck, I wanted a deck that was very affordable, very accessible, and it's going to last for quite a while. So I don't actually have to switch out any of the new cards. So most of the meta cards, so obviously this one, I didn't actually include in this deck because I didn't want to switch it out at the end of the year whenever it actually rotates out of standard. I don't actually plan on adding any cards to this whenever Aether Drift comes out. If they have vampires in that, so they actually include vampires in Aether Drift, I would first of all be shocked, and second of all, I would actually have to consider it at that point. But this deck, I'm sure it'll be untouched for quite a while. So let's talk cards that I didn't include in this, and here's why. So we have the Preacher. So for 2 reasons. It's a 3-drop. It doesn't trigger with this card, Raise the Past, and it's pretty expensive. So I was like, I couldn't justify adding it. It is obviously a very good standard meta card, but for now, it's just not in this deck. And then we have this one, for obvious reasons. This card is so expensive, and it also doesn't trigger with Raise the Past. So I would actually love to include probably 2, maybe even 3 copies of Bloodthirsty Conqueror, but price point, it's just out of my reach. I just couldn't justify buying it, because I would need 2 or 3 copies. So this card, it was a toss-up for me. I didn't want to include too many legendaries because I just wanted to throw as many creatures as possible, but I do have 2 legendaries, and this one solely because of this card, Raise the Past, versus this card, Amalia, because she does trigger with Raise the Past, Elena does not. So after I playtest this a couple times, if I need some more firepower, then this card probably will be going in. Maybe I'll replace a Pulse Tracker or a High Society Hunter or something like that. But for now, it's just not included. This card, obvious same reasons as the Bloodthirsty Conqueror. This card is just so expensive. It's very good, very meta card, very good vampire, but for now, it's just not included. So this guy, the same reason that Elena's not in is I just don't think it would be as good as Amalia. I think the explorability on Amalia is going to be more powerful. I mean, we'll play test it and see, but this guy, he will trigger with Raise the Past. It might just be worth it, but I don't make enough tokens. So we do make one from this card, from Lunar, but that's pretty much it. So sacrificing a creature just doesn't seem quite as worth it as this card, as High Society Hunter, because he doesn't give card draw. So we'll try it, but I just don't like this card as much. Vampire Nighthawk, he's a classic, and he's a good creature, but he is 3 mana, so he does not trigger with Raise the Past, and so we can just include like 4 Pulse Trackers instead. And Nullpriest is a 2-drop with Lifelink Menace with no Death Touch, but it does have the Kicker ability that will return a creature, so it just is more useful than Vampire Nighthawk. He just didn't quite make the cut. So this card, it was a toss-up for me between Not Dead After All and this one. But Not Dead, the creature actually dies, so it would trigger things like this one, Highborn, or Vengeful Bloodwitch, which Shardmaid's Rescue, it doesn't actually allow it to die because it gives it hexproof. If I'm having problems, I think this would be a great sideboarded card. I don't have any board wipes, so that's probably really what I'm missing from my sideboard is a board wipe. So this one would be a great option, Day of Judgment, or this one, Pest Control. I think Day of Judgment would probably be better because the meta right now is red and white mice, which doesn't really use tokens. as much. So I think Day of Judgment will probably go in the sideboard. I think that's a good option. So Shoot the Sheriff versus Fell. I included 3 Fells because I haven't had any problems. The only real difference is the instant speed between these two. Now, Go for the Throat is technically better than Shoot the Sheriff, but it is also a little bit older, so it'll actually rotate out of standard a little bit quicker than Shoot the Sheriff. So I'd probably include Shoot the Sheriff over Go for the Throat, but I just included Fell for now because I haven't any issues with it. But if I do start having issues with the instant speed, then, you know, I'll probably have to switch them out. So there you have it. Please feel free to comment down below and let me know what do you think I should add or what should change, or I'll have to update you all and see how it actually performs. But I've got pretty high hopes for this deck. I think it'll perform pretty well. It seems fast. It's got some card draw. It's got removal. It seems to have it all. So we'll see what happens. So y'all make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on that notifications button. And thanks so much for walking down the old dusty deck trail with me. We'll see you next time.